Hi everybody, welcome back to the Maria Montessori Project. As you may have noticed, it's been a while since I posted a video, but it's all for a good reason. Keith and I have been blessed with two new grandchildren since Christmas. Don and Jen had their first child, baby girl Charlotte, who was born on December 28th. And we have had a wonderful time having them so close in the neighborhood and being able to visit and watch little Charlotte grow. And our daughter Emily and her husband Dave had a baby boy on February 12th. This is Grace's baby brother. Theodore was born just a little over a month ago, and I've been sort of really pitching in and helping Emily because she's got her hands full with two babies now instead of just one. And I've been helping out with Grace and trying to help drive her back and forth to school and play with her and get her down for naps, that sort of thing. But little Grace has started a new game with me, Mimi, she calls me Mimi, since Theo was born. And it's actually what I want to talk with you about today because it took me a little while to figure out just exactly what was going on with her with this game. Emily and I thought it had to do with the new baby being born, and it seemed to make sense in a certain way. So here's the game. We call it the Mimi Cry game. Um, because that's the refrain. So it starts like this. So Gracie will have one of her little stuffed animals, let's say her little bear, and she'll say, "Mimi, do you want to play with my bear?" And when we first started this game, I was quite innocently, I said, "Yes, I'd love to," and I would reach for it, and she would say, "No, it's mine." And I waited a second, and then she'd say, "Mimi, cry." And I slowly, as we did this a couple times, realized that what I was supposed to do was cry in disappointment that I couldn't have the bear. So I would say, "Wah, wah, I want the bear. Why can't I have it?" Um, and she would say, "Because it's mine." And I would say, well, can you share it with me?" "No, it's my turn." "Well, when will it be my turn?" And she would say, "Well, in 24/7 hours." And then my part is to say, "Oh, that's such a long time to wait. What can I do while I'm waiting?" And Grace says, "Nothing." So I sit there and we have keep going. Mimi cries some more. Me cry, I cry like a baby, which is why we thought it had to do with the new baby coming, because I'm supposed to cry. And then after a little bit, she gives the bear to me, very happy. And I'm very happy, and we celebrate that I've gotten to play with the bear. So um, I just really, though, thought there was something else going on than just a role reversal where, I'm crying for attention or something. I didn't quite know what it was. But then a couple days ago, we were playing the Mimi Cry game, and Grace put her little bear in one of these swings that Emily has to put the real baby and little Theodore in, that has a mobile and controls at the top where you turn it on and it plays music and the mobile spins and the thing swings on a motor. Anyway, Gracie pulls her little step stool over to it because she can't quite reach the top where the controls are. She pulls the step stool over to it, and she had said, "Mimi, do you want to play with my bear?" "No, you know, I do." And then I had to cry and everything. So she puts the bear in the swing, and she pulls her step stool over to it, and she reaches up to the top and she says, "I'm the grown up." I know how to turn it on, and I know how to make the music and everything. And it hit me, Mimi, it hit me that if Grace is the grown-up, then that means I'm Grace, right? I am Grace crying for something that the grown-up has, and the grown-up tells me that I want it, but won't let me have it, right? So this is Grace's experience of what it's like to be a child in an adult world. The adult constantly is holding things and by the very fact that they have them, making them desirable and then forbidding them to the child. I mean, we know this as well in mimetic theory circles, which is another one of my worlds that I travel in. We call this the model obstacle problem. Montessori addressed it by calling it the absorbent mind, right? So what she realized is that for children, their whole purpose and reason for everything that they do is to grow up and become an adult just like the adults in their lives. So for children, adults are the absolute, supreme, unquestioned model of desire. And it's not that they just desire some things that adults have and do and are. They desire everything about who we are and what we do and what we have, especially, right? Especially our skills and our facility with complex activities that children haven't quite managed yet. So being an adult, of course, is the purpose behind everything kids do. And so what Montessori realizes that they're just imitating everything we do constantly and trying to get it right, try to perfect it, right? So they see us put on our clothes in the morning, and so they practice and practice until they get it right. But the problem is that there are some things about being an adult that just aren't available to kids yet. So they see their imitating of our desires just is inevitably leading to disappointments, which is what Gracie is reenacting, right? This disappointment that children feel by having their desire aroused, but also prevented from being fulfilled. This is what we call the model obstacle problem. The adult is both the model of desire for the child, but also the obstacle to fulfilling it because we're the adult. We are the fulfillment of all the child's desires, but we have to forbid them to the child because it's not appropriate for them or right at the moment, right? So, a good example of this is that part of the Mimi Cry game is that Grace has me go into her bedroom and sit in a chair in her room, and she'll say, "Mimi, cry." And she leaves and shuts the door. And she wants me to cry and wait for her to come back. And when she comes back, it's a big celebration. She's happy, I'm happy. So what she's enacting here is that adults model this desire, model this behavior of leaving the room, which makes it a very desirable thing for the child to do, at the same time that they're telling the child it's nap time, it's time to sleep, you need to stay in your bed. You stay, I go. But for the child, what the adult does is the thing they want. They just can't help it. It's what they want, right? So Gracie reenacts that and lets me act out her disappointment. In fact, the other day, she was having her nap at my house, and I put her down for her nap, and she was just dog tired. So I didn't stay very long in the room with her, and I could see she was about to fall asleep, so I left the room. And she did. She fell right asleep. But when she woke up from her nap, I saw that there were two Kleenexes on her bed. And she said, Mimi, when you left, I was sad. But I got some tissues. But now we're together again, so I'm not sad anymore. So, I mean, we think sometimes, well, this is just, they're so needy, they miss us, they have to be around us all the time. But part of it is that they want to be who we are. And who we are is the one not in the room. And so kids will get up, they'll leave their nap time, they want to see what we're doing. You know, you're trying to make dinners and your child's getting up from her nap early and or not going to sleep at night. Part of this is their drive to be an adult, that they're not yet an adult. So it's forbidden to them even as it's desirable to them. Oh, and just another example, which is hilarious. The other day, she was getting ready for school, and I had come over early to help Emily with Theodore so Ems could go back to sleep because she's not sleeping at night. So I've got Theodore in my arms, and Grace is getting her clothes on to go to school in her coat, and she looks around at me and says, Mimi, cry. And then as I'm crying, she's marching out the door to school. Perfectly happy. She's being the adult leaving, and I'm the child wishing I could go too, but I can't because I'm a child, you see. So it's just a delightful illustration of something that often is remains hidden for us because we have this idea right now. It's a very commonly accepted notion that our desires are our own, that they just sort of arise spontaneously from inside of us. But what Grace is showing is really the truth, not just about childhood desire, but about adult desire as well. That our adults are learned from the people around us that we admire, who we call our models for desire, right? So the problem is for children that a lot of the desires are also forbidden to them. And so we have to be very careful that an association doesn't get made between something that's forbidden as the thing that's the most desirable. You see? So we see that as adults because often we want something that we can't have. And the very thing we can't have is the thing we want most. For example, something, the car that we can't afford is the car we really want, and the one we can't afford is okay, but what we really want is the thing we can't have. We see this a lot in love triangles. Some people just habitually fall in love with someone who's unattainable, right? So maybe they're already in a relationship, or they're married, or they're just, someone who doesn't really even know that the person who admires them exists. But these are the people who constantly fall in love with that which is forbidden. And it's because this association of desire, the thing that your models forbid you to do seems to be the thing that makes them who they are, right? So for kids, that the adult can leave the room or operate the stove or the oven, and it's what makes us adults, right? That we drive cars and we do things that children can't do and that are actually forbidden to children to do. And so we have to be very careful as parents that we don't overreact when our kids try to imitate us in ways that are inappropriate for them. Because if we do overreact, we're going to create this association for them between that which is forbidden and that which is incredibly desirable. right? So they'll become adults whose desires are always being stimulated by the things they can't have. And we see this, just that adult desire operates this way all the time, because we've all had the experience that we seem to want something, the new sweater, the new scarf, the purse, whatever it is. And then when we get it, it doesn't seem to be as wonderful as we thought it was going to be. Our desire sort of fades, and then we kind of get attracted to something else. So desire can be aroused for something that is really not really that important to us. And advertisers know this. That's their job, to make us want stuff that they have and that will benefit them if we buy it, because they'll make money. But it's not necessarily in our best interest to have, right? So advertisers are in the business of arousing desires. And we forget that that works because that's how desire works. Desire is a learned thing. It's something that doesn't come from inside of us, but is taught to us from outside. So as adults, we need to choose our models of desire wisely, right? Kids can't choose who they're going to imitate because all adults are just irresistibly attractive. But as you get older, you become better able to choose your models of desire. So that's what it means to say, I've chosen a career, or I've chosen this person to be my friend or to be married to. You are choosing people who are going to influence you at the very core of your being, which is the level of desire, right? So adults, we need to be a little smarter about how we decide what we want by how well we choose our models. This is what we call also peer pressure. When we say that our teenagers or whatever are succumbing to peer pressure, they're simply succumbing to the influence of their peers, their models of desire all around them. And adults are the same way. So to blame kids for behaving that way without acknowledging that we behave in the same way is really not very fair. So the parenting tip that I would give you, aside from modeling some really intelligent ways of handling your own desires, would be to be aware of how confusing this issue is really for children. What they're trying to navigate is that some of the things we show them to be desirable are okay for them to do, and some of them are not. And telling the difference is tough. So it's okay, for example, if we buy them a new toy and we get all excited about it and show them that it's desirable, they can play with it too. Absolutely great. But when we reach to open the oven door, let's say, we don't want our child to also think that that's okay too and desirable to open the oven door. So the thing that I would caution you is to realize that your child isn't reaching for the inappropriate object because they're disobedient or stupid or willful or whatever it is. They're doing it just because they're imitating you relentlessly. They can't help it. So I would just be very sensitive to that and not overreact. Don't make it to be a big deal. Like, oh my God, don't touch the oven. You're going to die. Say, oh, you know what, honey? So this is what we do with Grace. We say, Grace, Mimi's going to open the oven door. Where do you stand when I open the oven door? And she knows there's a spot in the kitchen where she can stand and she can see me do it and it's safe. And she just goes right to it because I've showed her where's the safe spot to be. So I've given her something to do that's okay for her to do while I'm doing this wonderful, desirable thing that she can't quite do. So it's diffusing it a little bit and not making it so important that she begins to associate the forbidden thing with the most desirable thing, what happens, a lot of times is the things that we value the most are the things we don't let our kids touch. A a treasured vase or a piece of jewelry. You know, you can play with all these other bracelets, Gracie, but don't touch this one. You know, we hide that one away because it's so important and valuable. Well, obviously, then that's the most important bracelet, right? So we have to be very careful about designating objects of desire for our kids because we want them to grow up to have um, a healthy pattern of desire, so that they don't get fixated on things um, because they're forbidden to them, right? So I just want to give a little thank you to my little Grace for showing me this wonderful example of how children experience adults in their lives. I hope that this discussion of what we call the model obstacle problem is helpful to you. There's lots of other examples of how this shows up in adult lives, but I think we'll leave it there for now. Um, and just hope that you're enjoying your children and your grandchildren as much as Keith and I are. So thank you for watching, and I really look forward to hearing from you and hearing your comments. Thank you.